So, welcome to a new class, welcome to a new topic. Today, what we are going to discuss is something very dirty. It's called, it's a conglomerate of 2-3 topics. They are the solid waste disposal, human excreta disposal, and sewage disposal. We'll break this class into 3 parts. Today, we are going to mainly talk about the solid waste. Now, if I talk about solid waste, yes, there is a term disposal, that how you have to dispose the solid waste that is generated. But before that, we have to understand that what is a solid waste, right? So if I ask you what a solid waste means, normally we'll say any byproduct or any product that we need to that is solid in nature and we have to discard it. It's technically right, but if I talk of the bookish terms, it has to include all these things. See, the term solid waste includes garbage, that is the food waste mainly, rubbish like paper rubbish, plastic, wooden, metal, throwaway containers, that is the when you order from Swiggy and Zomato and the food comes to your house, or Uber Eats, the disposal that they containers in which they give the food, you throw them away too. So they are also part of the rubbish, and also glass. Then you have the demolition products, that contains the bricks, the masonry, the pipes, etc. Then you have sewage treatment residue like the sludge, the solids from the coarse screening of domestic sewage, dead animals and manures, and other discarded materials. However, one thing we must know, that this solid waste should not include any kind of night soil. Now, what do you mean by night soil? Night soil is basically a very old concept. Imagine when your grandfather or grandmother was of your age, or even younger than you. On those good old days, there was no concept of a proper latrine in the house. Only the filthy rich people had a washroom in their house that also not attached, a common bathroom for the whole household. So, on those days, what happened is that a covered shed was built, a temporary one, not the permanent ones, and a big hole was dug. A bucket used to be placed in that dug, and everybody who had to pass their stool had to go inside, squat on top of that bucket, and they have to pass the stool. And that stool used to get collected in this bucket. Next day morning, people who were in duties, it was their responsibility to take up that dirty bucket full of stool, go outside and dump it somewhere. That stool used to be called as night soil. And the output of daily waste will depend on the dietary habit, lifestyle and living standards, and degree of urbanization and industrialization. Normally, in every house, from 0.25 kg to 2.5 kg of waste is generated daily. It will depend on the number of people living on that house too. Suppose only 1 or 2 people are living in a house, the amount of waste generated will be low. But if the family consists of 10 or 12 people, obviously the waste output will be much more higher. Also, if it is people are living in the urban areas, they tend to have more waste products than the people living in the village areas. Next, solid waste, if allowed to accumulate, is a health hazard. How? It decomposes and favors fly breeding. So if the flies are breeding on this decomposed waste, it's going to spread the diseases from there. It attracts rodents and vermins. Again, these rodents and vermins might cause diseases to the humans. If the pathogen may be present in the solid waste, may be conveyed back to the man's food through flies and dust. And there is a possibility of water and soil pollution. See, if the food products are starting to decompose, it is going to give a foul stench smell. Flies and rodents coming and sitting on top of it will spread the disease to the humans by getting in contact with the food that is going to be consumed by the humans, and thus the human will fall sick from them. Or if the garbage is left for a long time, water is going to come out of the garbage, that water is going to get seeped down into the earth crust. It will cause soil pollution, because the soil will become if the waste contains hazardous product, the soil will get polluted. Or if it seeps down more to the underground water reservoirs, natural reservoirs, it will again cause water pollution, because that is the water that you are going to consume today or tomorrow. So it will cause soil pollution and water pollution at times. Also, heap of refuse present an unsightly view. Imagine waking up in the morning, looking outside the window, and you find a amount of garbage. If you travel in the NH2, starting from Birati or gate number 2 airport towards Dakshineshwar, you can find on the left hand side there is a huge mound of garbage. The government has recently covered it up with blue colors of tile, because blue colors of asbestos, so that it does not cause a unpleasant sight. But you cannot stop the smell. The smell is pathetic, and if you can see what I can see in last few weeks, that the heap has grown up. Now it is even higher than the walls that has been erected. The sight is not good. The smell is terrible. So this is the hazard of solid waste. Therefore, in most countries, there is an efficient system for its periodic collection, removal, and final disposal without risk to the health. Now, what are the methods of solid waste disposal? The methods are, most common one is dumping, next is controlled tipping or sanitary landfill, incineration, composting, manure pits and burials. And the choice of particular method is governed by local factors such as cost and availability of land and labor. So basically, how the government decides to formulate the plan for refuse disposal or solid waste disposal in a country or in a city will depend on the local factors like area availability, etc., and also the cost that the government can bear. When the government is not involved, what people normally do is that people just generally dump it anywhere they find it suitable. But that is not a proper way. So the government devises policies according to its local factors and according to the cost it can bear for proper disposal of this wastes. Next, dumping. Dumping in a different way. Yes, it is somehow related to this topic, but anatomy has also got a topic called dumping, and I have seen a few of the papers where you have written in anatomy the beautiful definitions of dumping syndrome, what dumping syndrome means in anatomy, and I was amused with the answers. However, this dumping is totally different from what you have read in anatomy. This is somehow related to what you see in your life. Dumping is basically pick up and throw away. It can happen to you also if you're in a relation, but normally what you do with your waste, suppose you have taken a burger or let's say a sandwich downstairs from the CCD. It's covered up the rack. You take a bite. What do? If you like it, you finish it off. If you don't like it, you dump it in the dustbin. So that is dumping. So refuse is dumped in low-lying areas partly as a method of reclamation of land mainly as an easy method of disposal of dry refuse. See, there is this term called low-lying area. Why is it mentioned that you have to dump it in a low-lying area? It is simple. Suppose this is the land, right? It's plain. If you can see in my mobile, there's a small hole over here. This is a low-lying area. Normally, humans stay in this particular area. If I put the solid waste here, what is going to happen? It is going to get accumulated in this area only. But if the land is a bit tilted, it will seep downwards. Suppose the land is here, and imagine the imaginary high land over here, a bit of a mound. You put it on top, you put the garbage on top of that mound. What is going to happen? The water is going to seep down. The water that is generated from this waste is going to seep downwards and will infect the humans living in this area. That's why they say that you have to put it in a low-lying area so that the water does not seep to the human area. The water cannot seep upwards. The water will always seep downwards or sideways if there is a tilting available. If not, it will straight away come down. That's why you have to put it in a low-lying area. And as a result of bacterial action, refuse decreases considerably in volume and is converted gradually into humus. So normally, because of if you put a garbage in an area after a period of 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, you will find that A, the volume has reduced, B, there will be a lot of water accumulation over there, C, it will give a very bad and stench, a foul smell. 4, there will be flies flying all over that garbage. Right? So normally what happens is after a few days, if it is kept naturally, it is going to shrink in size and it is going to be converted what we call as a humus, Humus, this time. A WHO expert committee condemned dumping as the most insanitary method that creates public health hazard, a nuisance and severe pollution of the environment. Actually, it is true. It is the most insanitary method. You are just throwing it away on Bhagwan Bharose. It's just imagining that it's going to be there, somebody is going to take it, throw it away for you. It doesn't happen like that. So it is the most insanitary way of disposal of solid waste. It may cause public hazards to a nuisance, bad smell, bad sight, and also severe pollution to the environment. This is just an example of how dumping happens in third world countries. If you can see a truckload of garbage just disposed like that. Drawbacks of open dumping. What are the drawbacks of it? The refuse is exposed to flies and rodents. It is a source of nuisance from the smell and unsightly appearance. The loose refuse is dispersed by the action of the wind, and the drainage from dumps contributes to the pollution of surface and groundwater. Then we have another term called controlled tipping. What is controlled tipping? Controlled tipping is also known as sanitary landfill. You have to know both these terms, controlled tipping and sanitary landfills. These are the same thing, just two different terminologies. The most satisfactory method of refuse disposal where suitable land is available. So it is technically the most satisfactory way of which you can dispose of solid waste, provided you have a suitable and huge area available with you, and that is also away from the human settlements. It differs from ordinary dumping in that the material are placed in a trench or other prepared areas, adequately compacted and covered with earth at the end of the working day. I'll explain in details after I go to the next slide where the picture is there. The term modified sanitary landfill has been applied to those operations where compaction and covering are accomplished once or twice a week. Now if you can see in this photo, a few people are standing over here, and over here is a highland, which basically nothing but these are the soil that has been excavated from this particular area. Basically in Hindi, if I say gadha khoda, you just at a gorto tumi khudle. So gorto ta khudle ki hobe, what is going to happen is that when you dug that trench, you can throw the waste inside of it, and you have to make sure that it is just leveled up. Throughout the day, all the trucks are coming with all the garbages, and they are just throwing all the garbage in this particular area. So what happens is that you can do it in two ways. If the whole day's job is done, no more garbage truck is going to come today, you level that place and you put this soil that you have dug up inside of here. You cover it up properly. You cover it and you leave it like that. What is going to happen? A, the bacterial factors are going to degrade and reduce the volume naturally. Yes, there might be water seeping downwards, polluting, but even roses have thorns. So, third, the bad view of huge dumps of solid waste present is not going to be there, and most importantly, no foul smell will be available in that area or will be seen in that area. You can do it on daily basis, or else what normally people do is that people dug a huge trench it's called, bada se gadda khoda, and a bodo gorto kurli, then you keep on dumping over there as long as that the trench is complete. Once the whole trench is completely filled with solid waste, then you put the soil on top of it again, so that what happens is that you don't have to do it daily. You just keep it like that and leave it like that. So you fill that area till it is full, then you put it. You don't have to do it daily. You can do it in 3 days time, in 5 days time, in 7 days time, in 14 days time. That's what you call a modified tipping, or modified sanitary landfill, or modified controlled tipping. This is how sanitary landfills looks like. This is a better picture. Yes, I forgot to tell you. If it is a properly planned one, you can see that there are small pipes below, and this pipe will again be connected with the main pipe. What happens is that when that dirty water is seeping down, it will get collected in this pipe, and thus it will flow out into an output pipe, which will go and flush out somewhere else in a proper way. So level by level, you dug it up, put the garbage, put a layer of soil. In this picture, what you can see is that normally what we do is that this are not the garbage area. You can put in such layers too, but ideally it is just the soil, normal earth soil. The trash is pulled into place and compacted by the bulldozers. Pipes sunk through the compacted layers collect methane gas and either burn it off or convert it into energy. Earth cover obtained by excavation, and compacted trash covered daily with soil to keep out the vermin and reduce the odor. And portable fences used to catch wind-blown debris. And final layer of soil is seeded and planted. And why it is seeded and planted? Because it is a very fertilized land. Now, there are 3 methods that you can use in this operation. First is called a trench method, where the ground level ground is available. A long trench is dug out 2 to 3 meters deep and 4 to 12 meters wide, depending upon the local condition, and the refuse is compacted and covered with excavated earth. Second is the ramp method. This method is well suited where the terrain is moderately sloping. Ramp means it will be like step by step, or you can just keep it slanting like this also. It depends on the area. And the area method. This method is used for filling the land depressions, disused quarries and clay pits. The refuse is deposited, packed and consolidated into uniform layers up to 2 to 2.5 meter deep. Each layer is sealed on its exposed surface with a mud cover of at least 30 centimeters thick. Such sealing prevents infestation by flies and rodents and suppresses the nuisance of smell and dust. And this method often has the disadvantage of requiring supplemental earth from outside sources. This is just for your knowledge. Then chemical, bacteriological and physical changes occurs in the buried refuse. This temperature rises to over 60 degrees centigrade within 7 days and kills all the pathogen and hastens the decomposition process. Then it takes 2 to 3 weeks to cool down. Normally it takes 4 to 6 months for complete decomposition of organic matter into innocuous mass, and the bulldozer achieves the task of spreading, trimming and spreading topsoil. Then another thing that we do normally is called incineration. What is incineration? Normally it is nothing but burning it off. So disposing hygienically by burning or incineration, it is the method of choice where suitable land is not available. If so much land is not available, that is what you are going to do. You are just going to burn off whatever is there in the solid waste. The hospital refuse is particularly dangerous and is best disposed of by incineration. A preliminary separation of dust and ash is needed, and it involves heavy outlay and expenditure, besides manipulative difficulties in the incinerator, loss to the community in terms of much needed manure. This solid waste that we put in the dumping methods is very good manure. It contains a lot of urea, thus it can be even used as a manure in many places. But if you put in the incineration, you are going to lose the manure. A. B. You might cause air pollution. C. Most importantly, if you can see over here, that heavy outlay is required, huge expenditure, and also you need manipulative work, because you have to segregate a lot of things that you cannot put in an incinerator. So that is sometimes not much possible. This is how an incinerator looks like. This one is an incinerator, rest is a factory. It's a long chimney where all the garbages are put it over here. It is being burned and comes out of the furnace. Then you have a method called composting. What do you mean by composting? Composting is a method of combined disposal of refuse and night soil or sludge. It is a process of nature where organic matter breaks down under bacterial action, resulting in the formation of relatively stable humus like material called the compost, which is considerable manure value for the soil. And the principal byproducts are carbon dioxide, water and heat. It is similar, it is like a kind of dumping, but composting is a very useful technique that we follow either in big complex areas, complexes, apartments, or in the village areas. The panchayat, what it does, it collects them, they put it in a particular area, in a designated area. You can see over here, this soil is already mixed with certain biological things, then it gets intermixed over there. This residue soil is basically a very good manure which the villagers use for their fields. So this is one way by which you can do disposal of solid waste in the village areas. The following method of composting are used these days. One is the Bangalore method, second is the mechanical composting. The Bangalore method is called the anaerobic one, and the mechanical composting is called the aerobic method. I hope you know what is aerobic and anaerobic. So what happens in the Bangalore method is that the trenches are dug 3 feet deep, 5 to 8 feet broad, and 15 to 30 feet long, depending on the amount of refuse and night soil to be disposed of. The pit should be located not less than 800 meter from the city limits. So within 1 kilometer, it should be at least more than 1 kilometer away from the city, roughly. The composting procedure is as follows. The first layer of refuse, about 15 centimeter thick, is spread at the bottom of the trench. Over this, night soil is added corresponding to a thickness of 5 centimeter. Then alternate layer of refuse and night soil are added in the proportion of 15 centimeter and 5 centimeter. So 15 centimeter of refuse, 5 centimeter of night soil, that is the potty, respectively, till the heap rises to 30 centimeter above the ground, 30 meter above the ground. So 30 meter above the ground level means I am 1.8. So it has to be at least, I hope you can imagine how much 30 meters will be. So the top layer should be of refuse and not of the night soil, and at least 25 centimeter in thickness. Then the heap is covered with excavated earth. If properly laid, the man's leg will not sink when walking over the compost mass. This is the Bangalore method. Then what is the mechanical composting? The refuse is first cleared by salvageable materials such as rags, bones, metal, glass and items which are likely to interfere with the grinding operation. It is then pulverized in a pulverizing equipment in order to reduce the size of the particles less than 2 inches. The whole process of composting is completed in 2 to 6 weeks time. So this is not very suitable for India. Then you have the manure pits. Manure pits means the refuse disposal in rural area can be solved by digging manure pits by individual households. The garbage, the cattle dung, the straw, the leaves should be dumped in the manure pit and covered with earth after each days of dumping. 2 such pits will be needed. One is closed while the other is in use. In 5 to 6 months' time, the refuse is converted into manure which can be returned to the field. This is what a manure field is. This is a picture of a manure field. One is used, another is kept on standby. Then once this is full, we'll put earth soil on top of it. Then the second one will be used. Third is burial. Burial means gadda khodo dal do. As simple as that. This is suitable for small camps. A trench of 1.5 meter wide and 2 meter deep is excavated, and at the end of each day the refuse is covered with 20 to 30 centimeter of earth with the level of trench is 40 centimeter from the ground level, and the trench is filled with earth and compacted, and a new trench is dug. It's just for this kind of dumping, but in a small trench. And again, because of the size difference, the names are different. Again, you have to cover it the top with earth filled earth soil, and once this is done, again you khodo another gadha. So this is how a burial looks like. Waste, 1 meter layer of soil, then again waste, 1 meter layer of soil. This is how you keep on doing it till it is full. So once it is full, then you dug another trench. So with this we come to the end of our class. Today we have talked about the solid waste disposals. In next topic, we are going to talk about another very disgusting thing, that is the human excreta disposal, how you should dispose of your own excreta. But that is for a different class. I will not talk much in this. I am sure you might not have liked it. It's very boring, I know. Even I cannot make it more enjoyable and playful because it is just a one-way conversation. I don't have you guys over here so that we can make it much more interesting. But I am hopeful and I am sure that we are going to see you very soon. So till then, goodbye, take care.